Hey guys, Zoose here. So what we've got here is an Arcane Comet Keystone Fiddlesticks mid. Now, if you haven't seen it before, it sounds like a bit of a troll, but this works. And if you don't want to take my word for it, Bjergsen actually played this quite a few times when he was in bootcamp for Korea. And he popped off quite a few times. Other times he got destroyed, but that's the risk that you take with Fiddle. He's a very squishy, vulnerable champion that has to get close for him to sort of output the most amount of damage, and it kind of relies on carefully stacking your CC and positioning. If you can get that right ult, if you can ult from the right area and kind of predict the movement, because if the enemy is good enough, they're going to constantly move in random directions and they'll try to be unpredictable, but if they're standing still, then you have guaranteed damage and there's no chance. So in saying that, you want to take Arcane Comet. Now, Summon Aerie is extremely strong right now, but for someone like Fiddle, I'd say he doesn't poke as much as most AP mages mid can poke. Especially someone like Syndra, where they can constantly proc the Q so easily. Someone like Fiddlesticks, getting E isn't consistent enough, and it's just not going to be as much damage as you can get from Arcane Comet. So Arcane Comet also has a chance of missing, of course, but I think with Fiddle, he's always going to be, focused around bursting. He's an all-in sort of champion. Once he ults, he is going to just unload everything he possibly can and combo everything correctly to the most amount of damage. And this is what Arcane Comet sort of, it pretty much rewards you for that. If you are going to be the burst type and the CC type, you want to get Arcane Comet because that's going to hit for a lot more than Aerie if we're talking in a small amount of time. Obviously, Summon Aerie is always going to be stronger over time, but this is just the best for what we want to go for as Fiddle. The first rune you want to get, Mana Flow Band. Again and again, this is just one of the most lane sustaining, I think, sort of broken for most mana champs. This is also an option, the ultimate hat, but this is just so consistent. Consistency and usefulness, and especially for someone like Fiddle mid, you'll want to keep that mana up so you can keep spamming E just to wave clear. And if you're up against someone who's going to push you into the tower, then this is going to save you. Nullifying Orb can be okay. They'd have to have enough AP mages or enough AP carries to sort of like validate this. Otherwise, it's either Mana Flow Band number 1 and Ultimate Hat number 2, then going on to Nullifying Orb. Second rune you want to get is Transcendence. That CDR is just really useful on Fiddle. You really want to be spamming as much as possible, especially for wave clear. That E is going to help you wave clear. It's going to help you poke. It's pretty much your bread and butter for the laning phase, and this kind of helps you with that. Celerity, not that useful. Absolute Focus. See, someone like Fiddle kind of shines when he's low health, because that's when people get baited in even more, and that's when you start, sucking the health in with W, and you're just going to it's kind of baiting him in. You really don't want to be full health all the time, and because you have to get so close, I wouldn't rely on this for the most optimal build. So definitely Transcendence, and Gathering the Storm is the last one because it's just so consistent, really good for scaling as well. And someone like Fiddle scales really well. He's kind of like that mid to late game champion. Early on, before 6, he's lackluster, but after that, he kind of takes off, and depending on what kind of Fiddle player and how much experience you have, this is going to be pretty much securing you a late game with a lot of AP. Scorch can be used too. I went with Gathering Storm this game, but Scorch, I can see this as a possibility if you're poking with your E every 20 seconds. That's pretty good actually. This is actually very viable too. Water Walking, unless you have no pressure mid, and their mid is really weak and not someone that can fight you, then take this. If you really want to kind of roam and put pressure around the map and you know that there's going to be no kills mid, take this. Otherwise, this and this is the safest. Scorch and Gathering Storm, just too consistent. Okay, the second path gets a little bit interesting, and you'll actually see in game that perfect timing. This is a really good, I'd say one of the best runes for Fiddle, because If you've played a lot of Fiddle, if you played against it, you know that one of the first items he kind of gets a power spike with is Zhonya's. Getting in really close means you're going to be in a risky position, but having Zhonya's, or in this case a stopwatch early on, is going to pretty much give you a really solid first fight that you decide to use this in. And the first ult that you need is going to make it even more consistent. You're going to have that really solid ult where you can go in, and if they try to do anything, especially like a lot of mids will try and burst you at this point, but you have pretty much a stopwatch already to counter that, which is really good for Fiddle. Yeah, so in funny enough, I was actually against a Zed, and it kind of, again, came into a place where I needed this and perfectly worked out, where the perfect timing. And last rune you want to get is approach velocity. So you gain movement speed towards champions that have impaired movement. This is really good on Fiddle especially, because you're going to probably get that fear, and that's where you need to reposition yourself. And if you can reposition yourself with a bit more speed, even better, because then you're going to just use W and do the most amount of damage possible. Same with your R. If you can get that fear and then just walk right on top of them, they're completely screwed. And this helps you do that. This helps you reposition. This is also a possibility. Cosmic Insight does pretty much everything the Fiddle needs. A CDR, max CDR, summoner spells, and item. Even the item CDR is useful, so that's good too. Everything else, not that useful. Magic Footwear, I would say get some boots early. You're going to want that movement on Fiddle, so this is just not useful it's just not viable on Fiddlesticks. Futures Market, perhaps. This is always an 50-50. It could come in handy, it may not come in handy, but what you sacrifice, maybe this just seems like it helps you so much. Everything else, I mean, Dematerializer, probably not the best. You can wave clear pretty easily. So try that out, let me know how it goes. It's a little bit interesting, and for those of you who like to play Fiddle, this is perfect for you. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Let me know how it goes, and I'll see you in the next video.